Jeremy Corbell says that David Grush might have something way more explosive than just the op-ed to drop. Let's talk about that and a whole lot more, so get in here. This is Jack with Cosmic Road. I'll talk about UFOs and the paranormal. Please hit like and subscribe and let me know what you think in the comments below. Okay, here's what Jeremy's had to say about David Grush's op-ed.
There's more to it. So everybody wants to hear an op-ed from David Grush. Like, it'd be amazing. Like, New York Times op-ed. Then you counter the bullshit that you heard from like people like what's his name, Patrick. So there you go. He could do that. Part of me wonders, is there a bigger card that could be played? And I don't know, George.
What could you mean? Possibly mean?
Just saying that there may be a bigger card. Now here's the other thing. We do want people to publicly come forward. We are going to have new hearings. I'll just say it, man. We met with our friend Rep Burchett. It was awesome. We had a private meeting.
Anyway, I'll let you watch the full video at your leisure, and I have some more clips from it. Yeah, really great episode of Weaponized. But I love that expression on George's face when Jeremy says that David could have something more to show. Let's see. Anyway, but yeah, George gets very amused and very coy. And oh, really? Really? Does David have something more juicy to drop? I wonder what that could be. So it looks like David has got a few tricks up his sleeve. It sounds like a few tricks up his sleeve. And I can't wait to see what those are. Is he going to drop those? Is he simply going to write the op-ed and just, wait for the next more conventional news drop? Or does he have some game-changing trick up his sleeve? I can't wait to find out. But I thought that was super intriguing. Meanwhile, check out this from Richard Dolan.
We've all heard stories about how these objects can interfere with or have an interest in nuclear technology. They have and they do, and that's very important. But something that, again, this comes through my research into USOs over the last 2 years, is that there's a definite subset of those reports and of Navy encounters in which these have, whether intentionally or not intentionally, it's not always clear, interfered with critical operations of U.S. Navy vessels, and not always U.S. Navy. Sometimes these are, commercial vessels as well. And sometimes I have cases in which they interfered with and severely disabled temporarily Soviet Navy vessels. And in fact, I have one here. We've all heard.
Yeah, so there you go. UFOs and USOs disabling vessels. Sounds very alarming. Of course, there have been numerous occasions where jet fighters have been scrambled to go after UFOs and shoot at them, and occasionally, apparently, even to bring them down, crazy as that seems. And sometimes the UFOs, instead of allowing themselves to be shot down, will disable the equipment of the jet fighters. And a couple of times, they seem to have fired back, and maybe more than a couple of times, actually. And in some other times, they have displaced those fighters and moved them somewhere else. So, it's unclear why sometimes they get shot down when they have these fantastic capabilities, but that seems to be a thing. But apparently it's not just jet fighters they go after. It's also Navy vehicles and vessels as well. So, really interesting stuff. I can't wait for Richard Dolan's book on underwater submerged objects. I think that's going to be a gangbusters book. I really do. Richard says it's changed the way he thinks about UFOs a lot. So I can't wait to see what his evolution on the topic has been because of that research. Meanwhile, check this out. From the New York Post, bizarre three-fingered alien mummies are real and contain unique DNA, filmmakers say. And this was brought to me by Chumbles, so thank you, Chumbles. I love it. A pair of filmmakers documenting a new set of alien mummies found in Peru claim the bizarre three-fingered figures are the genuine article containing unique DNA, as they fight back against scientists who say the specimens are clearly dolls made for tourists. Filmmakers Serena D.C. and Michael Mazzola told the U.S. Sun that they are documenting two mummified aliens that are different from the ones found in Peru that made headlines last year, with the pair aiming to present their incredible evidence at a news conference in West Hollywood, California on March 12th. Sharing new images of the 4-foot-tall figures, the duo claimed X-rays and examinations showed that their subjects are not fake, and while they might not be ETs, they could be evidence of a new species affected by genetic manipulation. There is a big story that has huge implications that could really just change the humanity story, Serena told the outlet. It's akin to finding Jesus' shroud or the Ark of the Covenant. And there you go. We have the mummified remains of this being. And this, I think, is our first real view of the beings they're going to reveal on March 12th. So, very, very interesting. And it's interesting how the human people would mummify them and put them in these ritualistic positions. Or restful positions, whatever they were supposed to be. It looked kind of meditative, but they would pose them like this when they were being mummified. And so we are going to find out more details about these beings and what research has been conducted on them in a few days. I can't wait, guys. I can't wait. But I want to see some giants. I want to see some giants, guys. But we're getting aliens, guys. We're getting alien hybrids. They're talking about that in this article, in a New York Post article. They're talking about the possibility of hybridization, of genetic manipulation. And really, really great stuff. Really, really great stuff. Love it. Meanwhile, check this out. So you can see the picture here is, there's no picture there. Okay, here we go. The immersive reader. China will install, this is from MSN, China will install a sprawling, all-seeing surveillance system on the moon to protect its planned Disneyland-sized lunar base from suspicious targets. The space agency claims China is planning to install an all-new surveillance system on the moon to protect a planned lunar base bigger than Disneyland, using the technology it uses to spy on its citizens. The nation wants to use the successful experience of its authoritarian Skynet surveillance system to protect the planned base against suspicious targets, according to a research paper written by scientists at the nation's space agency that was published in an academic journal. Skynet is the world's largest surveillance network and is used to monitor every nook and cranny of China with more than 600 million cameras. 600 million cameras. There is on average one camera for every 2 adults in the nation. The lunar version of the program would see cameras equipped with AI chips capable of identifying, locating, tracking, and aiming at suspicious targets independently, scan the proposed International Lunar Research Station. So there you go. China is building a Disneyland-sized lunar base with this surveillance system. At least that is the plan. What does this mean? How is that going to affect our operations, or at least the U.S.'s U.S. operations on the moon, or Russia's efforts on the moon, or anyone else's? Is there going to be conflict on the lunar surface? If there are previous denizens of the moon, how is that going to play out? I don't think the moon is what they say it is. I don't know. The moon is very anomalous. When you dig into that, it gets pretty weird. So what is the moon? Is it an artificial satellite placed up there and there are beings up there? I don't know, but it is super intriguing. Either way, there is plans for humans to occupy the moon. So we will see how things go. Meanwhile, There has been, I thought this had been debunked some time ago, but this is making the rounds that the Holloman landing UFO video that has been shown many times in the past and was part of a documentary was in fact BS. And I was aware of this some time ago, but this is new information from this channel showing this famous footage is actually a plane. Of course it is. The story is, the reporters were going to get this footage. They were told that they were going to have access to a video of a UFO landing at Holloman Air Force Base. And then that was denied, and they were given a few seconds of that video instead. But instead, what they were given was a BS video of a plane landing. And this YouTube channel right here, the Holloman landing new data, that's the name of the video. Here suddenly, they seem to have done a very convincing job of showing how it was actually a plane. So I believe this is solid. I had heard this before, but this is really making the rounds. So I wanted to bring it to your attention if you weren't already aware of it. Unfortunately, the original journalists and reporters and filmmakers that were making that documentary were hoodwinked, of course, by the government. Government's not going to give them UFO videos. I mean, come on. Meanwhile, anyone want to run Arrow? Yeah, Ross Coulthard has this tweet. Anyone want to run DOD Arrow? Job announcement. That's right. They are still looking for a director of Arrow. Can you believe it? The summary. The mission of Arrow is to minimize technical and intelligence by synchronizing scientific intelligence in operational detection, identification, and attribution, and mitigation of... Anyway, you get the point. Arrow is looking for a director. You think I should apply? I don't know. Are any of you planning to apply to the directorship of Arrow? I don't know. It's tempting. Gary Nolan comments. He says, wonders if, checks calendar. Oh, well, seems I'm busy these next few days with house tours. So I guess Gary's not going to apply. Meanwhile, check this out. Holograms are real. Holograms are real now, guys. Check it out. This is pretty cool. I mean, it's not like 100% photo real or anything, but that is a 3D hologram. You don't need special glasses to use it. Those are just regular glasses. But it looks pretty good, guys. How is it making that thing move? Is it on a string or something? I don't know quite how it's making that bush move. But it's pretty good stuff. So we are living in the age of actual real-life holograms. Pretty cool. Meanwhile, it's a monkey meditating. I love it, Monkeys got to meditate. You got to get zen. You got to get zen when you're a monkey. You got all those bananas to juggle. You got things going on. You just need to calm down and hang out with some Buddhist monks and just get zen. Love it. Meanwhile, if anybody's been following the Michael Moran saga, there is new information that might validate who he is or who he says he is. If you've seen John Ramirez, CIA John Ramirez, standing up for Michael Moran, seeming to validate his credentials. And now we have this from Richard Geldreich. Michael Moran's resume is starting to check out. His cell phone leaked all public info. This is from July 28th, 2021. Michael Moran, PhD, National Intelligence Council, Special Studies Group, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles. And there you go. There it is. You can read all about it. I'll link to it. But yeah, I haven't been covering Michael Moran because I was kind of waiting for him to be vetted first. He was on Project Unity, a really interesting video. Among other things, he talks about remote viewing and encountering Lou Elizondo in an operational capacity. It's an interesting video. I'm still waiting to see if this guy's legit or not. But so far, he's looking pretty solid. But let me know what you think about Michael Moran, if I'm saying it right, in the comments below. Meanwhile, George Knapp and Jeremy Corbell are saying they are having to find workarounds to Arrow because of the obvious cover-up that is going on in Arrow. They are still trying to get whistleblowers to come forward, but how do you do that with Arrow being compromised? Well, they found methods, and they're talking a little bit about that here.
That's some planned horse shit right there. Why do you have a guy like you? That should be illegal. Nobody trusts Sean. Dr. Kirkpatrick, nobody trusts you. You've lost the trust of everybody, right? So here we go. That's okay. We're not sending people there anymore. We have created a new way in order to bring witnesses forward properly, ultimately through the ICIG, sure, but there's another way. And that's what we're doing now. That's what we're encouraging. So when the witnesses come forward to us, as they continue to do, we have a new, better, secure way with people that we either trust or are learning to trust. And so that's where we're at.
Love it. Okay, well, good job, Jeremy and George. I'm awesome. It's awesome to see them developing workarounds for the lovely Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick and his crew over there at Arrow. They do hasten to add that there are good people at Arrow, so that's great. I'm glad to see there are good people, but we need the leadership of Arrow to be good and committed to transparency and openness and honesty with the American public. Wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be nice? Meanwhile, apparently Claude AI now has the ability to analyze photos to determine if they have been produced by AI. That's pretty encouraging, right? So this photo right here was apparently not produced by AI. So that's cool. Of course, no word on whether it can detect CGI or not. And that's really the main issue at this point, although I guess it won't be going forward. Meanwhile, this is crazy. Yesterday, I showed a clip of Dr. Bruce Grayson, who's researched near-death experiences for 30 years. And apparently, one thing he investigated was reincarnation. And he found people who had been, who remembered the same past lives. That's right. They remembered having the same past lives. Okay, let me just take you through it. This is from Fringe. I never believed in reincarnation, but considered the evidence and was leaning toward believing. But here we have multiple children recalling the same past life, and it reminds me of the deception and screen memories used by NHI during abductions. There are, however, this is the quote from the book, some cases in the University of Virginia collection that suggest their interpretation is not as straightforward as our common conceptions of reincarnation would suggest. For example, in some cases, researchers have investigated 2 or more children who recall the same past life, and here's the source. Dr. Bruce Grayson. So, that's really fascinating that they could be remembering the same past life. However, that doesn't necessarily mean there's any deception going on, although, of course, it's always possible. I have done a lot of research into near-death experiences and consciousness and spirituality. And one idea that is out there is that, so there may not be reincarnation as many people think of it, as in subsequent lives lived one at a time. It could be we have a higher self that has different aspects of itself in this plane, and when we die or have access to the Akashic records or hypnotic regression, we can recall some of those past or sometimes even future lives. Sometimes you might even recall a life living on the same time as you, potentially. So what if, just putting this out there, what if there are 2 incarnations on you at the same time, but they have access to that same root memory or that same previous existence or alternate existence, even if it's not a subsequent iteration of yourself. It could be going on at the same time because, of course, when you research this stuff, in the other dimensions, time is meaningless. That's something that you get in near-death experiences pretty much universally, is that time is meaningless over there. When they try to reconstruct what they experienced over there, They say, well, it all happened all at the same time. You know, I was talking to my grandma while I was having my life review, while I was walking in the gardens with Jesus, or, you know, but it all happened at the same time. But it didn't drive them crazy or anything. It was just normal. It was just, that's how time is over there. And it's not the way it is over here. Everything happens at once. There is no time. But anyway, so they have to piece these events together for us to make it understandable to us. But apparently there is no time, at least as we think of it. You know, that is my theory to explain this fascinating nugget of research. Last but not least, check out this cool UFO video sent to me by Tim Clark. I think this is pretty cool. Yeah, look at it. Like a horseshoe or boomerang-shaped UFO in South Korea. Put up by Max Wolf, who has a really badass name. I love that name. It's almost like a U shape. That is I mean, it looks like the Millennium Falcon, right? Kind of a little bit, right? Either way, that's an awesome capture. You know, I think that's likely legit. Great video. Hopefully AI can get to a point where it can identify CGI. That's going to be super helpful. I can't wait for us to get to that point. Anyway, thank you, Tim, for that great UFO video. Loved it. Let me know what you guys think about that and everything else covered today in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up. I sure would appreciate it. Smash the like button and the subscribe button and the bell to be notified of future videos. You don't want to miss a thing. Join me on social media, Facebook and Twitter, links below. Love to see you guys there. If you wanted to support Cosmic Growth in an even bigger way, please consider grabbing a coffee mug or a t-shirt in the merch store below, or by becoming a channel member. Channel members are rock stars, and I really appreciate you guys' support. Thank you. Also, channel members frequently get to see videos hours ahead of everybody else. Meanwhile, there are plenty of other videos on the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. This is Jack with Cosmic Growth, signing out.